Welcome to Baxter Bell Yoga. I'm Baxter Bell. I have 3 quick requests for you and then we'll get right into our video practice for today. Number 1, please check out my website, baxterbell.com, where you can find access to my online yoga classes. You can find opportunities to dive deeper into your yoga learning, and you can find more free content. Number 2, please reach out to me personally at baxterbell.com if you'd like to set up a one-on-one session to improve your overall yoga practice, or if you'd like to address any health issues that you have with yoga therapy. Number 3, if you enjoy this video and you find it helpful, please like it when you're done. That would be really helpful. So that's it. Let's take a look at what our practice for today is. All right, I'm excited to have you join me today. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite supported reclining postures. This is a great one to use as an alternative to Shavasana or relaxation pose or final pose of the practice that we often do in our modern yoga classes. It can also be an alternative for the pose known as legs up the wall, as it is a slight partial inversion and might have some of the same calming and quieting effects on the body as that pose where we take the legs up the wall with the chest and head resting on the floor looking up towards the ceiling. So I like it in both of those roles, both as a substitute for Shavasana or as an alternative to legs up the wall. So you'll need a couple of yoga props. You'll want to have 2 blocks or something equivalent that you're going to set up on their highest height with about 6 to 8 inches between the blocks, and you're going to put that down near the foot of your sticky mat, wherever your foot's going to be and your head's going to be the opposite side. I often like to have a little lift for the neck and head. If your practice space is cool, you might put on a sweater or have an extra blanket to throw over your body. And then you'll want to have a yoga bolster or a couple of bed pillows that you can use. And if you don't know about bolsters, take a look at my do-it-yourself bolster video that's on the YouTube channel, Baxter Bell Yoga, and you'll get some great ideas on how to make one for yourself if you don't already own a yoga bolster. It's a pretty nice prop to have in your little toolkit. So I'm going to come off the bolster that I've been sitting on. I'm going to take that bolster and I'm going to place it crosswise on my 2 blocks. And I want to make sure that, again, the blocks are about 6 to 8 inches apart so that they're about as wide apart as my hips, and that will allow my legs to kind of rest on the bolster almost directly above the blocks. To get into position, I like to come fairly close to the setup, scoot my butt towards the front edge of the mat a little bit, because as I swivel down, my hips will shift more towards the center, and that way I don't have to mess around with trying to get myself centered once my legs are up. Probably the key feature of doing this successfully is landing softly with your legs and try not to pull forward or back or side to side, because that would potentially knock over your Stonehenge Savasana, your little Stonehenge that you've created, and that would be a historical and archaeologic disaster. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and bring the hands on the floor a little bit behind the body, and as you swivel the legs up, again, land very softly, so you're not pulling, pushing, or tipping. And then as you lower down, you're going to think about those legs not really moving. So I'm going to use my hands kind of out to the sides to slowly lower the body down. And I had a little bit of a tremor there, but not much. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust my blanket. So ideally, I like my knees to be almost directly above the bolster. This allows my shins to dangle a little bit. And I just find that for my legs, that feels a little more comfortable than, as an alternative, having the center of the calf muscle on the bolster, right? Which is a little different feeling. So once you've got that set, then your arms can be closer by the body, a little bit out to the side. Some people even enjoy having the arms a little bit back to create more broadening and opening across the upper chest. So I'll let you decide where the arms want to go. Make sure that the blanket, if you're using one for the neck and head, is under the head and neck, but not underneath the shoulders. So the shoulder blades and the back of the shoulders could rest down more firmly onto the floor. And then if you're really satisfied with the setup, you could gently soften and close your eyes and take your attention inside the body for a few moments. Now today, we're only going to stay in this position for just a couple of minutes, but in your home practice, if you're doing this for Shavasana, I'd set a timer and stay as long as 10 minutes. That's a nice little amount of time. And in fact, research has shown that when one gets set up in a safe position and keeps bringing one's attention back to the breath or just awareness of the body, you can actually trigger what's known as the relaxation response, which shifts your autonomic nervous system, your background operating system, from the more active stress response, which is not a bad stress, but just a everyday activity level stress response, towards the rest and digest response, or the relaxation response. So take a moment to maybe pick something simple to observe, such as your breath, or maybe you have a word that you like to use to anchor your mind. In yoga, we call that a mantra. You could repeat that word on your exhalations as a way of also focusing on the present moment. But let yourself find something that can help to bring you into this moment and keep you here for the next few moments. As I said, we're only going to be in the shape together today for a few moments, but at any time you could pause the video if you're at home and close to your device, or once you've learned it, just set your timer the next time you practice this and enjoy a good 8 to 10 minutes of alert or wakeful rest. And research has shown that resting without sleeping can have some profound benefits that go beyond even taking a nap. So it's really a nice thing to practice, the ability to stay gently awake and gently centered within your body as you relax physically for a few minutes. So taking a moment to notice the sensations of the body, the activity of the mind, and the quality of your breath. If you've picked something to focus on, awesome. You're going to want to stick with that and gently return to it if you get distracted for any reason. Good. Stonehenge Savasana. Wonderful alternative to regular Shavasana or even legs up the wall. Now to come out, I like to not knock over my Shavasana or my Stonehenge, so it's just one of those things that I personally like to kind of maintain. So to do that, I often have to consciously float the legs up and off, and then as I tip to the side, I want to avoid catching my bolster with my foot, and then use a hand to gently come up to sitting. You might grab the blanket that was underneath your neck and head and come to sit on that for a moment. And notice as you come back to sitting, if you can sense or feel the physiologic shifts within your body as you go from the reclining position to the sitting position. I can certainly feel that with just the few minutes that we were in that pose just now. So there you have it, the Stonehenge variation of Shavasana. Please play around with that in your home practice, or maybe at the end of an online class this week if you're practicing online with me or other teachers. And speaking of which, please join me this week or next week for an online class. I've got a whole bunch of them. Find them on my website. And don't forget to follow me on my Facebook and YouTube channels at Baxter Yoga. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.